We really need to recognize and realize that on the terrible day of October 7th, there was also a real miracle because the big plan, the grand plan of Iran was to annihilate the entire country of Israel in one day. And the plan was, as I spoke previously in a class that I gave on Tisha B'Av, they had a plan that was known to many, and that is to start a war with many different countries involved at once, in one day. They planned to start with Hezbollah firing from the north thousands upon thousands of rockets, some of them extremely heavy rockets that could explode and completely take out buildings. And Iron Dome would not be able to handle that amount. We're talking about thousands. They have 200,000 waiting, and some of them are heavy rockets waiting to be fired at Israel all over the country. At the same time, we would have Iraq starting also firing and bringing their troops in together with Hezbollah. They have troops that well trained and well armed called Radwan. They would come in into the villages over there in the north and conquer, just like Hamas did. At the same time, Iraq would do the same thing. The Yemens, as we see right now, that are getting involved, they would also be involved on the same day. All are proxies of Iran, together with Syria and Hamas. At the same exact time, also the Israeli Arabs would awaken and start doing also as much as they can destruction, because they are also armed. They have a lot of weapons. They have arms, and they're vicious, not less than all all the Hamas members. And that was the grand plan. And what happened is that Hamas really spoiled that plan for Iran, for Hezbollah. And they're pretty much angry at them right now because Hamas couldn't handle seeing that there's a party going on right under their nose. And when they heard about that, they felt that they really can't wait. It's just like you have a cat that's waiting for a big meal, and then when he sees a small little mice running, it forgets everything and it runs after the mice. And that's the same. The miracle goes beyond that, because the plan of Hamas was to take as many people as they can and kill as many people as they can, but they're so vicious and they're such animals that they delayed on every village in order to torture the people and burn houses and burn cars. And with that, they lost plenty of time that they could have kept on going forward and killing and making much more destruction. So this is a miracle that we need to realize that HaKadosh Baruch Hu performed on that day that could have been really much, much, much worse. Well, you have the entire country being fired rockets and people killing in the streets, and the Hamas coming from the south and Hezbollah from the north, and Syrians crossing the Syrian border, and so on and so forth. And who knows, maybe by then Egypt would also get into the party, and also Jordan, because the whole peace agreement with them is not such a stable peace, as they believe that peace with infidels and especially Jews, it's only a temporary peace until they feel that they want it's time to break the peace agreement. This is their belief. It's rooted in what Muhammad did, where he made a peace with the Jews at Mecca, and the peace was for 10 years, and after 2 years, when he became strong enough and he had enough people, he broke the peace agreement, and he went and he slaughtered all the Jews, just like Hamas did now. He slaughtered all the Jews and took away their women as slaves. This is the agreement, the famous agreement that the Muslims learn. It's the agreement of Hudaybiyah, that it's only a temporary agreement until they are able to become victorious and stronger than their enemy, and then they are allowed to break the peace, because their word is not to be taken at an agreement as a true word. That's their belief. That's Islam belief. That's nothing that that any Islamic person would not know, and that is the reason they did also a peace agreement with Egypt when they came to Mubarak at the time, and they wanted to know why is he making an agreement with the Jews. He went to ask the Arab League and their the scholars, and they told him that he could make an agreement. It's called the Agreement of Hudaybiyah, just like Muhammad did, and as long as you need to keep that agreement, that is fine, but when it's time to break that agreement, you should break that. And that was the reason he was allowed to make a peace treaty with Israel. So we need to realize also another very interesting miracle that happened at that day, and that is the protection of Shabbat, where you all probably all know that there were about 22 different kibbutzim at the place around Gaza, and 2 of them kept Shabbat. Now, the other 20 did not keep Shabbat. What happened is, when the terrorists came, they couldn't get into most of the kibbutzim because they have huge gate. If anybody been to such places I've been, it has a huge gate, and you can't open it, and you can't even climb over it. It's high. You need to have the right equipment to climb over it. But what they did, they waited for a car to come in and open the gate with a remote without knowing that they're waiting over there, and then they shoot him and they went in. But with the 2 Shomrei Shabbat kibbutzim, the gate was closed and nobody comes in and nobody gets out. So they couldn't get in. There was no way for them to come in, and they skipped on those gates. So you see that Shmirat Shabbat, really more than we keep Shabbat, Shabbat protects us. יותר ממה שישראל שמרו Shabbat, חז"ל say, Shabbat שמרה על Israel. Shabbat protects Am Israel. This is something that we need to realize. I just read today about a lady that was a peace activist, and every day she used to go on the border of Gaza together with somebody else in the Gaza side, and they used to take pictures together, photos, and share their experiences. She did that every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, but she took upon herself not to go on Shabbat. It's a day of rest for her. She doesn't keep Shabbat, but she felt that one day she needs a rest. And on that Shabbat, obviously, she didn't go. She doesn't go on Shabbat, and with that she was saved. So many stories like that, but the lesson learned is that each person should understand that when we keep Shabbat, when we keep the mitzvot, we're not doing Hashem a favor, we're not doing anybody else a favor. These mitzvot are for us. Shabbat is a protection for us. Keeping the Torah is a protection for us. Having a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not that we're doing him a favor. The fact that we have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu is primarily for us, and we should keep that and cherish that.